Hello everybody, Big Planes here, and today I have a pretty big update to share with you on my custom LEGO Boeing British Airways 777. Now, before I dive too deep into the bulk of the update, I want to share with you a change that I've made to the designation of this aircraft. So, some of you may have seen this, some of you may not, that I put out about a week ago under the community tab on my channel, a poll. And the main question in that poll was, would you want to see this built as a 777-200 as it's being currently built, or would you want me to switch courses and build this as a 777-300? And the vast majority, I believe it was something along the lines of 80 to 20%, said that they wanted this model to be built as a 777-300 rather than a 200. So I'm going to respect the results of that poll, and I am now officially switching courses, and this is going to be a 777-300. The main difference being, of course, that it is the stretched variant, and the placement of the doors is a little bit different, so are the wingtips. So this is going to now be, for those of you who are wondering, just want it in plain simple English, this will now be a 777-300ER. So let's get into the main bulk of this update. And right off the bat, a few areas need to be replaced with parts that I'm still waiting for orders. Mainly the exit arrows on the wings here and the off-color brackets. You can't really see them here, but you kind of see it right over there. The red off-color bracket. Those will be replaced. But other than that, this wing is pretty much 100% done. Other than those areas, so maybe like 99.9% done. But for all intents and purposes, it's done. So let me share with you what I have here. And boy, oh boy, this was a lot more difficult than I had originally suspected it would be. And I thought, okay, especially after coming off of the A380, this can't be that hard, right? It's only a twin jet, right? Well, that would be mistaken, because something about this wing, or multiple things actually about this wing, make it very difficult to replicate in LEGO. And there are two primary things that are causing that. The first one is the thinness of this wing. So those of you who remember the A380 will remember how thick that wing was. Now, of course, it ended up being a parts hog. It just guzzled parts every single day. Whereas in this case, it's a very thin wing. So this plane didn't use as many parts. However, I'm going to try to get to a lower angle here. You can see just how thin that wing really is. So that's the first problem, and I'll explain why in a minute. And the second problem is that there is not a wedge plate in existence, the plates that go underneath the wing, that matches the angle of the leading edge or really the trailing edge of this wing. So what that means is that it's hard to build anything in a simple manner, because if you can't get a wedge plate that fits the angle, then you have to start getting creative. I have to start using like different plate combinations. It just starts getting messy. And of course, finding on top of all that, I wanted to make the wing smooth. I didn't want to have any studs showing. And of course, there aren't any tiles that match this angle of this wing. So I had to use bricks on side construction that some of you may remember from the 787. And whereas with the A380 and the 747, only part of the wing was bricks on side construction, this case, almost the entire upper surface of the wing is using brick on side construction, or snot work, which I don't like to call it that because some people get confused. But yeah, those were the primary things that made this very difficult. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, it's a very thin wing. So look out here, the brick is about this thick. It's, I think it's like 2.5 plates thick. And then I only have another 2 or 3 plates at most. In most cases, only 2 plates under this to build the rest of the wing. So of course, I need to build in spoilers. I need to build in flaps. And of course, the thing needs to hold itself together. We don't want a wing that bends like a banana. So there's a lot of things that I had to take into account here. And I'm actually quite happy with how this turned out. And I'm going to come around here, squeeze around here, to show you. Again, hopefully I don't get tangled up here in the wing. This is what the trailing edge looks like. Now, this took a long time to develop. And I am happy with this. I'm very happy with this, actually, because if any of you who remembers the 787 from about 3 years ago will know that it did not have spoilers. So fitting spoilers on this model, which are these fun things sticking up out here, was very difficult because of the limited space inside the wing. like I said, most of the space had to be dedicated to just holding the wing together, and I was not able to dedicate much space at all to the actual control surfaces. But I'm happy to report I was able to include them, and they function pretty much just like they do on the real one. Now, the only caveat to that being that these flaps, unfortunately, are not Fowler flaps. Fowler flaps are the ones that, like, this right here is a Fowler flap. You can see that it extends from the wings, so it extends like this and then bends down like so. Whereas this one is much simpler. It's just a bending motion, and unfortunately that's because there's just not enough room in this wing to have a sliding mechanism. It doesn't fit. Whereas on the real plane, these flap tracks right here, which on my model are pretty much just for show, that's where all of the mechanisms on the real airliner would be to facilitate these flaps moving. That's just not possible with LEGO. So that's one compromise that I had to make. But honestly, I really don't feel like it harms the look of the aircraft that bad. It still looks pretty realistic, at least in my opinion. You can still see through the flaps like it would be a Fowler flap. And the spoilers work great. I'll demonstrate in a minute here how this whole thing works. And of course, expect a much more streamlined presentation in the final video for this. But yeah, I'm actually very happy with how this works. So let me demonstrate it to you right now, actually. The flap just comes up like this. I think I showed this to you already. It works like that. And then of course, you bring the flap tracks up like so. I'm doing this with one hand. I have to hold the camera in the other hand, so excuse some shakiness. And then this comes down like this. Gotta make sure it's all the way down. And of course, when the parts are new, they still want to bend a little, so that's why you're seeing it stick up a little bit down here. Yeah, so that's how that looks. Again, some things need to come up a little bit more. There we go. And that's what it looks like when sorry, this is coming a little loose right here. Whoops. Excuse this. This is part of the whole being fragile part. All right, so this is what it looks like when all retracted. And frankly, I think it looks pretty good. And of course, down here, this is the flaperon, not the elevon. That was a mistake from a previous video I made. Down here, these work. I think I already showed you how these work. These just fold in like so. Again, I'm doing this with one hand, so excuse any shakiness. And yeah, that's how that looks. I'm gonna try to maneuver around here. Yeah, so I think it looks pretty good. Obviously, some of the gaps here are because these parts are new, and when parts are new, they like to bend up. So that will recede over time when the parts settle down a little bit. But yeah, this is what it looks like when the flaps and spoilers are extended, and this is what it looks like when they are retracted. So I'm pretty happy with it. The landing gear have held up very well. I actually, after the last video, I had to go in and majorly, is that even a word? Whatever. I had to really reinforce these landing gear after the last video because first things first, the 777ER is a much larger, much heavier airplane, and also there was not enough support for these landing gear and they were not handling it very well. So I'm happy to report I was able to reinforce them and they are now doing pretty well. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this update. Just gotta squeeze around there. The next update will be the nose. So I actually got a bunch of orders just today. So I actually expect that next video to be within about a few days. Actually, I'm gonna really get going once I start working on the fuselage here. But yeah, I'm very happy with this update so far. I think the wing looks very smooth. Obviously, a few areas like this right here need to be touched up, and they will be in time for the next update. So I am happy with what I have done here. So yeah, expect another update video in a few days here, and I'm very happy with the progress that I have made on this 777-300. That's all I really have for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to have more on the way very soon. That's it for this one, and bye for now.